Hello again, Adrian back to tell you even more about our forthcoming programme, An Englishman Abroad. In the previous video we talked about Vivaldi's Favorito concerto, presumably played by Matteis in Vienna. I'm going to talk in this video about some of the Matteis that we're going to be hearing in this programme. Most of the music Matteis wrote is ballet music that comes from his Viennese operas written for the Imperial court, but there are a small handful of other pieces. The two Fantasias for solo violin that I mentioned earlier. There's also a violin sonata written before he left London, very much in the style of Corelli and his fellow Italians. There's a trio sonata along with the Fantasias also in Dresden. And then there's this slightly strange piece called a violin concerto, I say violin concerto, which is also in Dresden, divides in two sets of parts in Dresden. The reason why I'm a bit sort of cautious about calling it a violin concerto is it's not really what you would think of. The first movement kind of conforms more to the sort of Vivaldian ideals of a concerto, but after that, it's more like a dance suite. It's a bit of a sort of concerto suite hybrid, if you want. Anyway, what's quite interesting about the Dresden set of parts, the original copy, a lot of the parts have the players' names who play from them. So the solo part is given to Mr. Volumier, and he was the leader of the Dresden Court Orchestra. Interestingly, also, if we scroll down so violin primo, Signor Fiorelli, but then Monsieur Legros, also who's the first violinist. And then this one's quite interesting, Signor Lotti, also playing first violin. Now, that is actually the brother of Antonio Lotti. So this guy was called Johann Friedrich Lotti, born in Germany. And that's quite interesting that at the end of the decade, this piece was probably performed about 1710 in Dresden. Towards the end of the decade, Antonio Lotti, his brother, actually went to Dresden, and they think that is the first time that Antonio and Johann Friedrich, brothers, actually met each other. So that's quite interesting. Anyway, so you have this concerto. As I say, it's only really the first movement that sounds anything like a concerto. The rest is just sort of dance movements. And even the first movement, it's only got 6 or 7 bars of solo in it. But it's a nice piece, and you can really hear, particularly in the saraband, a lot of influence of Henry Purcell, which is rather lovely. So we are also going to be playing some ballet from the opera, from the end of the opera, La Verità, which was performed in Vienna at the Imperial court in 1717. Matteis was the guy basically tasked with writing the ballet music. He did not write the operas. The operas were always written by somebody else. If you think that's a bit funny, well, the German composer and theorist Matteis, he sums it up very nicely, talking about Matteis's work at the Imperial court, writing ballet music for the other composers. He basically says, look, we don't all have the same talents, which is very true. So the opera in question is Dares alla verità nell'inganno. We are going to be playing the overture, which is by Caldara, from the very, very start of the opera, and then the l'ultimo ballet, the final ballet from Act 3. And it's quite nice. So the first dance is the aria per gli mascari, which means aria or dance for the masked people. And then we have dance of the Sultan. So often with Matteis ballet suite, you get these movements with different titles telling you who the kind of people will be dancing on stage. And then you just get something, he just calls it an aria, which is, anybody's guess really. And then finishes it with a more sort of formal dance in the style of the chaconne, which is rather magnificent. Anyway, we will be playing this programme towards the end of the month. Get your tickets, London, Chipping Camden and Norwich.